This clip of the Texas Bucket List is brought to you by Spirit of Texas Bank, Slovacek Sausage, Germania Insurance, TX Burger, and RV Source.
And some different types of river rock at the bottom.
Howdy, and welcome to the Texas Bucket List, the show dedicated to everything there is to see, do, and experience right here in the Lone Star State. My name is Shane McAuliffe, and this week we start things off in Athens at a fishery dedicated to keeping our Texas waters stocked to the brim. Turns out if you stay long enough, you'll be reeled in, hook, line, and sinker. Under the trees of East Texas, you'll find some monsters swimming in the fresh waters of Henderson County. But these big fish aren't something to be feared. They're something to be celebrated, and hopefully they fear you.
Be right up close and personal with some of the largest fish in Texas in our aquarium exhibits.
Jim Booker works for Texas Parks and Wildlife, and over at the Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center, fishing takes the bait.
Welcome to Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center.
The Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center is a state-operated facility by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, really dedicated to outdoor education, to introducing people to the art and the sport of fishing.
I don't know where else you can see this many fish.
I think we could probably feed ourselves for a few days off of some of these fish.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Now, before you can grab your rod and reel, visitors get a first-hand look at the types of fish you can find in our reservoirs, in huge tanks that put any fishbowl to shame. From giant gars to countless catfish, the splashy spread is off the hook. But to get a clear look at what life is like in a lake, head inside for a fish-eye view of what the feeding frenzy below the surface is like.
Alright, how y'all doing? My name is Juan, and today I will be feeding the fish in here.
Juan Martinez spends most of his days swimming with the fishes, in a good way.
I'm more worried about having that mic on and saying something I'm not supposed to. So.
Juan is part of the dive show, and he gets in a massive aquarium filled with all sorts of gilled game.
So this particular one that's there is what most people are familiar with it's what they call a blue.
After watching Juan risk his digits in order to educate the public, it's off on a short tour of the actual fish hatchery, where millions of fish are bred every year in order to keep our bodies of water full of fish.
Welcome to the Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center. We're one of 5 freshwater fish production hatcheries operated by the state of Texas.
Every February, the center starts to breed largemouth bass in these massive troughs, each with over 15,000 gallons of water.
They'll spawn thousands, tens of thousands of eggs at a time. We'll carefully care for those eggs, incubate them, hatch them, and then we'll grow them up to what we call a good fingerling size, which is roughly the length of your pinky finger. Then we're going to, at that size, stock them out into the lakes of Texas.
In all, over 6 million bass are born right here, with the hopes that most of them will end up on the line of the 1.8 million people that fish in Texas bodies of water each year. But if you're new to this sport, you can familiarize yourself with this particular Texas pastime in a pond built just for fishing.
Don't let the small size of these lakes fool you, Shane. The record out of this lake right here is 54.9 pound blue catfish.
Good night. What's great about fishing in these parts is you don't even need a license, or a fishing pole for that matter.
And this is our Angler's Pavilion.
Okay.
This is where the general public visits. The fishing poles are all available.
Ready to go.
Yep, and then we have our fishing instructor on duty.
Okay.
All of this, of course, is included with admission.
Can't beat that deal.
Woo! On average, about 1,000 people, mostly children, of course, actually catch the first fish of their lives while visiting us.
Can you hold him?
Hold it.
Hold this, just hold the line right here. And show him.
Show me your fish. Wow. Of course, catching your first fish is one heck of a memory. But imagine catching the biggest bass in the history of the Lone Star State. That honor goes to Barry St. Clair, who caught a big old bass in Lake Fork back in 1992.
And in this part of the display, we feature the largest bass ever caught in the state, including the current state record, which is
amazing. 18 pounds, that sucker, huh?
Yeah, and it's held for about 23 years now.
That's amazing.
Who knows when the next record setter, I'm sure it'll be big news when it is.
You think that'll ever be broke?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
18 pounds is a big bass.
It is a very big bass.
The biggest catch of all is its annual economic impact. Nearly $1.5 billion. But the Texas Parks and Wildlife doesn't take fishing so seriously just to reel in the dough. It's to promote something that kids don't seem to be getting enough of: outdoor time.
One of our main missions is to get people outside. If you compare the amount of time that we spend, that our children spend outdoors now, with how much we did in, say, the 70s, believe it or not, some studies show that the amount of time children spend outside in contact with nature has dropped by well over 90%.
I don't think there's any other place you can find like this, to get out, you see a lot of things, you can learn some cool stuff, the kids have a great time.
It's wonderful that we have this. It's clean, it's educational, it's everything you could want.
What do you think, Edison?
I love it.
Texans do have a strong tie to the land. Texans do seem to know which, there's the gar, there's the bass. There is a pretty good connection, unlike some other states in the Union where there isn't that real thorough connection with the land, but here, and especially in East Texas, there seems to be a distinct connection between the people and the land.
This is a great place to enjoy nature in itself, and get a complete understanding of not just how nature works, but how conservation works and how Texas Parks and Wildlife works, and I think that's why it should be added to your bucket list.
It's important to know what it takes to maintain our environment here in Texas and to keep all of the wonderful things that we enjoy as Texans, to preserve them for the next generation, so the next generation can have an even bigger bucket list than ours.